Take a seat, ma'am. At the same spot you were yesterday. You go ahead and fold that verdict form against itself. Fold it in half. Give it to the Ms. Garza there, the new clerk for today. She'll bring it to me and then I'll read it into the record. You can be seated. In the case of City of Tumwater versus Kenneth Ray Little, verdict form reads as follows. We, the jury, find the defendant Kenneth Ray Little not guilty of the crime of unlawful transit conduct as charged in count 1. So, ma'am, I'm going to start with you. You're juror number 1. And then, is this your verdict?
Yes, it is.
Is this the verdict of the jury?
Yes.
Your verdict, ma'am?
Yes.
And the verdict of the jury?
Yes.
You, sir, this is your verdict?
Yes.
And this is the verdict of the jury? You, sir, this is your verdict?
Yes.
Is this a verdict of the jury? And then finally, not quite yet finally, but you, ma'am, this is your verdict?
Yes.
And this is the verdict of the jury?
Yes.
And finally, you, ma'am, this is your verdict?
Yes.
And this is the verdict of the jury? Yes. Okay. So, members of the jury, I want to thank you very much for your attention and time you put into this case. I told you back on Monday, it seems like a lifetime ago, that you should be done on Tuesday. It went a little bit longer than we had thought. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate you all coming back here in a timely manner this morning and resolving this case and carrying it to its conclusion. I now lift all my previous instructions. You can talk with anyone you want about this case now, or not talk to anyone if you don't want to.
All right, so we did this trial yesterday, so I had to do it today. Big thanks to Zach and everybody who sent this to me. We have a lot more clips, but I wanted to open with it because that's what it was. We knew from yesterday because the jury came back and it was 4-2 not guilty, and but they didn't realize it needed to be unanimous, which was kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty funny. The guy was guilty of sin, but that's the way the jury saw it. That's fine. It's like a minor violation. The prosecutor did a really nice job. It's just, you're in a jurisdiction where people don't like law and they love their chaos. That's what you got. That's what's going to happen. It doesn't bother me that much. You never know what's going to happen with these things, but this one was a tough one to prosecute. And that's just the way it went. So we've got some more good stuff coming up here. Let's do it.
Sometimes there's a reason why they call this the practice of law, and that sometimes the attorneys like to come back and speak with jurors after the case is over. But given the amount of time that you have, and I'm not sure, I think they might have other business going on in court, so I'm not even sure if they're available. But you're free to go. I'm going to come back there in just a minute. We're going to do a couple things here in court, and then, but you're all free to go. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm torn because it was a clear violation. This is all small stake stuff. It was a clear violation. He should have been found guilty, in my opinion. However, I kind of like that the government's never quite sure and they're a little worried about it. So there's good and bad in it for me, the way I see it. But frankly, I thought it was appropriate. He was being a jerk, and he got away with it. Now he's going to run around, and it's his Super Bowl. He's going to run around and say that he's the grandmaster now, and I guess it'll give him comfort.
You can be seated. I'm going to do a judgment and sentence. Was not guilty, remain released with any conditions that was set in this case. Is no longer, I don't even know if there were any other than don't have any criminal law violations, but and that's pretty much that. I'm going to go back and talk to and thank the jurors personally. I don't know whether you folks want to or not. What's that?
May I address the court briefly? I have a couple of questions.
Well, there is no sentence because it was a verdict of not guilty. What are your questions?
When I was taken into custody, I was taken with over $2,700 in cash.
Okay.
They converted that to a card without my knowledge or my consent.
I can't.
Get my money
Okay, I'm gonna stop you for there's nothing I can do about that. If you had stuff that was taken and needs to be given back to you, that's between you and the whatever law enforcement agency hold those things. I don't,
I was just asking if you were able to issue an order that would return those funds without me having to pay withdrawal fees every time I take it out in small increments to get it all.
no,
out.
there's nothing I can do about that. I'm sorry.
That's my question.
Okay. Anything else?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
I hope the jurors have to ride the bus with this guy at some point. I really do.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Little would like thumb drive. He had yesterday.
The thumb drive with the video on it? No, that's an evidence. That's gonna stay here. Well, it's that,
It just stays in evidence.
yeah, no, it's an evidence and part of the case, and it doesn't get, that's the end of it. Yeah. Right. You're welcome.
Oh, here we go.
Mr. Little.
This is Zach's fault. He sent me 2 today that I think I did previous videos on. This guy certainly looks familiar to me for obvious reasons.
Oh, good morning. You can have a seat for just a moment, sir. I'll call your case in just a moment.
Here?
Yes, no, he can stay there. It's fine. Thank you.
Of course, it's this guy. I remember.
Don't think so. Homie, don't play that.
All right, we are. We're ready for a little.
Calling case 2300637 People versus Bernard Little. We're here for a show cause hearing. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Agent Podowarski on behalf of the Probation Department.
Good morning.
Bernard Little,
Good morning, Mr. Little.
Grand Rising.
So, Mr. Little, you're here pursuant to a summons because it's alleged that you violated probation.
Oh, wait. We're going to have a state throwdown now? We're You're going to beat up on Illinois? Yeah, have at it. They're horrible.
Miss, I'm so sorry. Please pronounce your last name for me again.
Podowarski, Your Honor.
Ms. Podowarski. I have the summons and I signed for Mr. Little to appear. And I just checked the probation order and it does not have a term requiring Mr. Little to comply with SORA. Now, I don't know, pardon my ignorance, whether SORA violation would constitute a violation of probation where SORA compliance is not a condition, perhaps by operation of some statute. But barring that, why is it that SORA noncompliance would be a violation of probation where the terms of the probation don't include SORA compliance?
Your Honor, if the defendant violates, or I'm sorry, is not in compliance with SORA, that can be charged as a misdemeanor. So that can be a criminal offense. So I'm assuming that is the reason why the agent submitted the show cause. Also, listing an address that he does not reside at would also be in violation because we need to know where he's living.
Well, I don't have any questions about that allegation. All right, so Mr. Little,
Yes, ma'am.
it's alleged as you just overheard that you violated SORA in that you didn't register with a proper address and that you have failed to report since I should say to verify with the registry since January 8th of 2016. So for almost 9 years.
Yeah.
And no, not yet, Mr. Little. I have to tell you what the allegations are.
Yes,
Then I'll give you an opportunity to respond. So those are the allegations that you didn't provide a proper address, that you're not living at an address that can be verified by the department, and that you have failed to comply with SORA requirements.
I don't think so. Homie, don't play that.
Reporting. Or, yes, verifying, I should say. So those are the allegations, and you have a right to a hearing on these allegations.
Can you say that again?
You have a right to a hearing on these allegations.
Yes, ma'am.
within- Let me finish, please, Mr. Little. You have a right to a hearing within 14 days. And at that hearing, the department would have to show by preponderance of evidence that you violated probation as described. And if they do that, or if you admitted that you violated probation as described, which I suspect you won't do, if either of those things occurred, the court could either revoke your probation outright without improvement, just close out the case. The court could impose a jail sentence and close out the case. The court could modify the terms of probation and include a jail sentence, or could just simply modify the terms. Final thing that the court could do would be nothing, which is unlikely. So those are the things that could happen. How do you want to proceed? Do you want to have a hearing, or do you want to make admissions?
Well, can you say the last part?
Do you want to have a hearing on these allegations, or do you want to make admissions on these allegations?
I want to hear.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so what's a good day?
I don't think so. Homie, don't play that.
So excuse me. John.
Just one moment.
February the 19th.
What time? Okay. How does February 19th at 1 o'clock work?
Well, Father, let me be. I'll be here. You want to take
All
your
right,
time?
and just for the record, you're representing yourself because you didn't decline counsel today,
Yes, ma'am.
correct? All right, should we order or refer to our indigent defense services to appoint you counsel for the hearing, or will you be representing
I'll
yourself?
be representing myself.
Okay. So we'll see you on the 19th then at 1 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am. Can I state this one thing to you?
You probably don't want to state anything, but do you have a question?
Yes. Now, I never met this woman here.
Right.
I didn't met 4 of those people.
Well, no, she is our court assigned probation officer.
Okay,
She acts as a liaison between the field agent and the court. So the
Okay.
field agent doesn't come to court unless there's a hearing. So your field agent will be at the hearing.
okay. Now, the question I have about the address part, right? If I'm living there on the property,
Mr. Little, I
Yes.
don't want to be rude. I have a trial that I need to begin in 10 minutes.
ma'am.
And the question you're about to ask me really goes to the heart of the issue, which is what
Okay.
we're having a hearing on.
yes, ma'am. See you on the
Okay,
night
so we'll see you on the 19th.
at 1 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Have a good day.
There's a better one.
Thank you.
And let's go ahead and start with Mustafa. Mr. Mustafa, if you'll come forward.
Okay, here's another guy. He sounds like Hans and Franz. This takes a while, but it's kind of fun. He might be sovereign citizen too. I'm warning a little. It's a little bit slow, but he does. It's still fun.
Good morning, Mr. Mustafa. So there's one charge for you. It's a charge of trespassing. This is a violation of section 543 of the Boulder Revised Code, allegedly occurring on January 18th of 2025 at 198 Glory Morning Drive. Number of different ways you could proceed today. If you'd like to have a conversation with one of the prosecutors, you could. If you want to have a conversation with our navigator, that's available to you. You could also plead guilty if you'd like, or you could plead not guilty to the charge. And if you'd like to apply for the public defender, that's always an option as well.
He does ask the judge if he wants to pet his monkey later. Okay, not really.
Oh. All right. And did you want to speak with the prosecutor this morning? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
No.
Okay, thank you.
And sir, he does have 2 open cases.
Now, let's go ahead and pull the second one up. Let's actually stay with this one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So let me go ahead and formally take that not guilty plea. I just want to make sure that when I take the plea, that we're clear. Do you want to have the opportunity to have public defender appointed for you or not?
Related to the subject matter specifically?
To the charge, if you wanted to have someone represent you in the case and have legal representation, I could set this over for our public defender.
Colorado hasn't been slandered yet.
Not specifically for this case.
Okay, that's your choice. We've talked about representation before, but I always have to make a record. In every case, I have to make a record. So if you choose to plead not guilty and set the case for trial and go and represent yourself, I want to make sure that you understand that you have the other option, and I think I've made that clear.
Yes, for this case, for trespass, for this specific trespass, I want to go to the trial, yes.
Okay, and so and that's fine. That's perfectly fine with me. If you decide not to have counsel represent you, I have to make a record of that. So do you understand that if you choose to represent yourself, you're going to be held to the same standard as far as the rules of evidence go in representing yourself? It means if there's a rule of evidence.
If you still talking about this specific case, which is within this context, yes, I can represent myself.
Okay. Let me ask a few questions that I'm required to ask just to make sure that.
Schwarzenegger also works. It's funny. He thinks he's a genius too, which just really adds to it.
You understand the rights that you have as far as being represented. And we've already talked about public defender. Do you understand that by representing yourself, you take some risk of not properly representing your case? Do you understand that?
Well, let me be honest with you. I have had public defenders ever since I came to Boulder, basically. But going back to my previous experiences, there is not much of the value to their help. So if I represented myself, I would do a better job.
I always love when defendants think this is a flex. I've had lots of public defenders, which means you're getting arrested for being a jag all the time. That doesn't help your credibility.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not bragging about my skills, but that is my personal perception, which is based on my previous experiences.
Okay, it's fair for you to have your perception. That's fine. Do you understand this charge, the charge of trespassing, which means that you entered or remained on property without the legal right to do so? Do you understand that charge?
Okay.
Yes. Do you have any legal training yourself, law school or any kind of training prior to that?
No.
Okay. And did you graduate from high school?
Yes.
Okay. So you understand the rights that you'll be required, that you have, and your right to go to trial and how you might represent yourself. Do you understand all of that?
Just thinking. So are we going to the trial?
Not today. No, we'll set you a trial date.
For this case specifically? There is nothing else to do? Are you serious?
Well, if you'd like to have a conversation with the prosecutor, you could. I mentioned that earlier.
Okay, that's fine.
Do you want to have a
to the fullest extent possible?
Do you want to speak with them?
I'm down.
But do you want to have a conversation with the prosecutor?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I got nothing to say.
All right. And you understand, I can't do anything about the case at this juncture. I don't have the authority.
Okay, so, do you have a conversation with the prosecutor, means basically, do you want to try to resolve it? And he's like, no, I have nothing to say to them. And then you'll see he cries for a chance to resolve it later.
To dismiss the charge. All I can do is tell you what your rights are. If the case goes to trial, then I hear the evidence from both sides. All right, let me go ahead and accept the not guilty plea. It is to the charge of trespassing in violation of section 543 of the Boulder Revised Code on January 18th of 2025 at 198 Glory Morning Drive. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
All right, I'll enter that not guilty plea. Sir, you have the right to a trial in front of a judge or a trial in front of a jury. You have,
As I mentioned, I want to take it to the fullest extent possible. I would like to fill up the seats over here.
so it sounds to me like you're saying that you want to.
What is the maximum number of people, jury I can get?
In the municipal court, it's 6 jurors
What is the maximum number of jurors I can get?
is the maximum number of jurors.
Let's go with the 6.
I'm going to have you, out front,
a-hole.
you're required to make a written request for a jury trial, but we have a form out front that you can fill out, and you just can make the request that you want a jury of 6, and I'll have staff give you that form so that you can fill it out.
At the window over here?
Yeah, at the window, just a
I
few
was
moments.
mentioning, yes.
I'm going to waive the jury fee. We set 2 court dates for jury trials. You'll have to come back for what's called a jury readiness conference. And the purpose of that is so that each side can appear about a month before the trial, between a month and 3 weeks before the actual jury trial. And that way we can make sure that people who are ready to proceed to trial, their witnesses are all ready to proceed. And if there are any legal issues that need to be resolved before the trial, we resolve those legal issues at that jury readiness conference. So our clerks are going to give you 2 court dates for this, just for this case. So you have to make sure you come to both court dates, or you could end up with the warrant because this is a criminal charge. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
Okay. I think we should look right now and schedule the jury trial. So I'm going to look ahead, and I've got our jury commissioner is in the courtroom, so he can be aware of what we're looking at. We'll be looking into about a month from now. The first date I have is March 13th. And since I've got the prosecutors in the courtroom, does anybody have a problem with that court date, Thursday, March 13th being the jury trial date? From prosecutor's perspective, first of all.
Not at this time.
Okay. That means we'll probably be just a couple of weeks from now for the jury readiness conference. And Mr. Rounds and this looks to be a fairly straightforward case as far as witnesses go.
We had a lot of guesses on the last video. I think the consensus is either German or Russian.
Is that still going to make sense to you? We probably would set the jury readiness conference for this second week, maybe 10 days, 2 weeks from now.
Trespassing case, Your Honor. That makes sense. What I'm somewhat wondering is if we should set them both on the same day.
We may. We'll see what he wants to do with the other case. But yeah, we would definitely try to see what we can accomplish. So I'm going to schedule the 13th of March for the jury trial itself. And that means the jury readiness conference will go back 3 weeks from that date. Looking at, we could do that week of February 18th through the 21st. We've got, although we don't have a JRC date in there, we could use one of the hearing slots on the 21st of February. Let me just think if that's enough time. Now, let's go back a little further. Let's go to let's use that jury readiness conference for the 14th of February. So that's only about 10 days away. But I think that makes the most sense. That'll give the prosecution an opportunity to contact witnesses, determine if there's anything that needs to be done, and then we can have the jury readiness conference. So look at 2 p.m. February 14th would be the JRC date.
Tell me you're late without telling me you're late.
At 2 p.m.
Yeah, we started with
And
it.
since that's on the calendar, I'm assuming that we wouldn't have any problem from the prosecution's perspective. Does that date work for you as well, Mr. Mustafa, to come back to court?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I think we've got that one taken care of. Let's pull up the other case that we have for you, Mr. Mustafa. This is case number 2025-464. This is a charge from January 30th of 2025 at 301 Sunshine Canyon, which is the Centennial Trailhead. There are two charges. There's one charge of subjecting an animal to unnecessary suffering, which is a violation of section 616 of the Boulder Revised Code, and a charge of use of fighting
Yeah, that'll go over well with my chat.
words, which is a violation of section 536 of the Boulder Revised Code. Do you understand those two charges, sir?
So the initial intent of me coming to the court today was a trespass. It wasn't related to the subject matter which you just mentioned. Since it has gone that far, okay, let's resolve the issue.
Right. Your arraignment date for that.
And I'm taking it to the trial as well.
All right. So
Thank you.
that's fine. So you want to plead not guilty to those two charges?
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
And do you understand the two charges, the use of fighting words?
Yes, I comprehend.
I'm going to make just a quick record of what the two ordinances
So
describe.
to whom I was using the fighting words, who did I talk to specifically? Was it mentioned? And whose dog I've forced to suffer?
Give me a moment, and I'll try to read the back of the ticket and then make sure that you're aware of what's on that ticket. So I will share that with you.
Suffer.
So it's Ranger Hammond who took reports from park visitors. One said that alleged that you kicked their dog, and then let me see, and that's the allegation is based on subjecting an animal to unnecessary suffering. And I'm trying to get to the specific language.
Yes,
So
exactly.
there's some language in the report that alleges that you used language that was threatening to another person. And I'm going to tell you what section 536 requires, what the prosecution has to prove.
Over here, it says specifically fighting words. I would like to know what term I used within the context.
Why don't I give you,
Because fighting word is an expandable term.
I think I understand that.
Subject matter.
I understand that. So let me read the ordinance first. And then if Mr. Reynolds or anyone else wants to comment as to what they think the allegations contain, or we can give you copies of the police report so that you have them. It says, no person shall, with the intent to harass, annoy, or alarm another, repeatedly insult, taunt, or challenge another in a manner likely to provoke a disorderly response.
Okay, it is possible for me to ask someone to leash their dog if I'm being attacked or if a dog is barking on me. And if for some reason they ignoring my request, yes, I'm expressing myself verbally.
I understand what you might be saying is what your rights are.
And it's a ranger's job to make sure the dogs are leashed on the trail. It's not my job. And I've been attacked by dogs few times, barked, and I've been beaten by a dog on the trail, specifically on Mount Sanitas. And if I'm kicking a dog, it's for self-defense purposes.
Those will all be issues that get resolved in a trial.
Let's do it.
All right, so I'm just going to ask our staff to print out the police report and the summons so that he has a copy of those. And you can look through the summons. I've read section 536 of the code. Do you understand what the code provision says that I just read to you?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm going to read the other provision as well, which is the charge of subjecting an animal to unnecessary suffering. Make a quick record of that.
So I don't need to come back on 11th because as I believed for these two specific cases, I had to come back on February 11th.
You're exactly right. You do not have to come back on the 11th.
Okay, thank you. So what is about the February 12th?
It's actually February 14th. Remember, we just set that other jury trial?
There's one more harassment, actually. It's not municipal court?
Oh, we don't have any other tickets, I don't believe. Is there one in state court?
Yeah, I'd have to go and double check.
Do we know when his court date is for the state court?
I can look at that right now.
Thank you. So it's a state court. It's down the hall. So, and Dara's just checking that for you to let you know what your court date is for that.
Such a at least your dogs. Make sure it doesn't bite. And then I will stop keeping them.
It is on the February 12th at 8 a.m.
Which division?
Room number 4. Room F, sorry, room F.
This is all clearly Society's fault.
Yeah, courtroom F.
Somehow the city has messed up. It's online. It doesn't have chapter 6. I'm gonna try another, see if I can find a different version of the Boulder Revised Code.
Sorry, my computer.
I've never seen this happen before. Try again, a different place.
Which, we're looking for 6-1 or 6?
Yeah, if you can pull it up on yours, I'll read it from there, but.
Yeah, let me see. So, okay, here is, I just pulled it up on that screen over there.
There it goes. I just opened it up in a different place. It was the strangest thing. I had not seen that ever happen before. Section 616 is the charge of subjecting an animal to unnecessary suffering. It says no person shall cause unnecessary suffering to any animal or take actions likely to cause unnecessary suffering to any animal. Needlessly shoot at, wound, capture, or any other manner needlessly molest, injure, or kill any animal.
I can, for self-defense purposes.
And that's perfectly fine.
Previously, the dogs have to be leashed. And if it's barking at me, and if I'm asking the owner to leash it, and if I'm still being ignored, then yes, I take it to the fullest extent.
Okay.
I do my best to defend myself.
Let me just make sure that you understand what the ordinance says. Did you understand what I read to you
Yes,
there?
I comprehend.
Okay. And you understand your rights in connection with that charge, which is your right to plead not guilty or guilty to the charge. All right. I'll go ahead and accept that not guilty plea, but let me do it formally. Count 1 is a charge of use of fighting words in violation of section 536 of the Boulder Revised Code, allegedly occurring at 301 Sunshine Canyon on January 30th of 2025. How do you plead to that count 1?
Not guilty, but still, I want to know, what did I say though?
We're going to give you a copy of the police report so you have that. It's not my job to determine what you said. It's the prosecutor's
I had a
job.
conversation with the police officer upon the subject matter. I had a conversation with the park ranger.
Right, but when I say police report, it contains that information. The police report contains the report of what the park ranger wrote down and submitted to the court, and the prosecutors have that statement as well. So if you'd like to have a conversation with Mr. Reynolds or one of the prosecutors, they can tell you what they think will establish the charge.
Love it.
If you don't
Thank
want to
you.
have that conversation,
Go to the trial.
okay. Let me take
All those people and those dogs to the court.
Let me take the next charge with you. The next charge is subjecting an animal to unnecessary suffering in violation of section 616 of the Boulder Revised Code occurring on January 30th of 2025 at 301 Sunshine Canyon. How do you plead to that charge?
Not guilty.
I'll accept that not guilty plea. Now, I've accepted not guilty pleas on that case. It's separate from the other case. Did you want to have a trial in front of a judge or a jury trial?
As I mentioned, I want to take it to the fullest extent possible.
So what does that
I
mean?
want to fill up the
We'd like a jury.
with the maximum number of people.
Okay. So we'll do the same thing with that. I'm going to waive the jury fee. Will have you fill out, and you have to do a written request in both cases because they're two separate cases, but we'll waive the jury fee. I don't think we can have both cases occur on the same date for a jury trial, Mr. Reynolds. They're two separate events, two separate sets of circumstances. I don't think that we could manage that with the jury and have them not have confusion as to what the issues are with respect to the two cases. So we'll select a different jury trial date for this second case. And I mentioned that we had, the next date was March 13th, so we'll go out to a date beyond that, which would be March 27th. It is during spring break for Boulder Valley School District, I believe, Mr. Reynolds. Do you anticipate having?
I mean, historically, we have set jury trials on the same day, and then it's up to us to determine which has like priority with speedy and all of that. And so, obviously, we can't have two jury trials on the same day, but
We could definitely set them both at the same time. Obviously, the concern I have is you at least will have witnesses, prosecution witnesses. For Mr. Mustafa, and he can, whatever case goes forward, he's going to be here and won't be inconvenienced to any great extent because it'll just be one or the other. And we can decide on the 13th or on the 14th of February which case would go to jury trial. We could certainly do it that way and schedule them if you think that makes sense. It's mostly your folks who would be at least preparing for the next week or two, but you would probably know by the 14th which case would go. And then we might have to reschedule anyway, so.
right. I mean, it would be my preference to schedule them both for the 13th of March, and then it would be on us to ensure he gets a speedy trial and then determine which has priority. Somewhat unlikely that we would participate in two different jury trials for Mr. Mustafa, but those are my thoughts. I just don't know witness availability, and they're not all going to be government witnesses.
Let's go ahead and set for March 13th, a quicker turnaround on that case because we would still have that JRC, which is only going to be about 10 days from now, which would be that Friday. And I set it that way so that we have ample time if the case doesn't go forward, that we aren't sending out juror summonses to 75 or 80 people for that jury trial. That's why I back it up so closely to where we are today. So as long as you're comfortable with that, as far as contacting witnesses.
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and set the JRC at the same time. We'll set it for February 14th at 2 p.m. And then we'll schedule the jury trial.
Do they have proof for these? I mean, you can't put anything on the paper.
Give me a moment. I'll answer your questions, Mr. Mustafa.
They describe me as a 50-year-old male. I'm 42.
Hold on just a moment, okay? Let's do one step at a time. I'm happy to talk to you and let you ask questions, but let's get the jury trial date set and make a good, clear record, because I want to make sure that whoever's reading the transcript of what I'm saying today can follow what we're doing. So we're going to schedule the jury readiness conference for 2 p.m. on the 14th, and then the jury trial will be March 13th.
Exciting and new.
I'm going to waive the jury fee. Similarly, I'll want you to fill out a jury demand form out front for this case. And I'll say the same thing on this case that I said on the last case. You have the right to represent yourself, You could also have the public
All right, ladies, you know where to find him on Valentine's Day.
defender appointed in your case. Would you like to have public defender on this case, Mr. Mustafan?
No.
And you understand that a lawyer might do a better job of representing you than you do representing yourself?
You never know.
You said, did you say you never know?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what
I mean,
they
it's
say.
possible.
Okay.
So I need all the dates and
Yeah, we're going to give you we're going to give you a setting notice here in a few minutes for both cases.
Well, with standards like that, Amanda, you might as well just give up on men.
so park rangers, they don't do their job and they blame me. But,
Okay, I think we've got both cases ready. What's going to happen is I'm going to send you.
both, it's, okay, so it's 3 cases. Trespass.
Trespass is one case.
The kicking dogs and the fighting words.
Yeah, and the unnecessary suffering or the dog kicking charge and the use of fighting words are 2 charges for one case.
Oh, okay.
But so there's 2 cases. One of them has 2 charges. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to send you out front. They're going to give you a setting notice for both of those cases to come back on February 14th for your jury readiness conference, and then for March 13th, your jury trial.
That is for trespass.
One's for trespass, and the other is for the second charge, unnecessary, subjecting an animal to unnecessary suffering and use of fighting words. Both are going to be scheduled on the same dates. The prosecutor is going to have to decide which case it wants to go forward with first. It can only do 1 jury trial per day. We can only have 1 set of jurors brought in on per case. And so on the 14th of February, the prosecutor will have to identify which case it believes it's ready to proceed on.
Okay, I would like everything what was said on this paper over here to be proved. Whichever definition of proved you have within your vocabulary, literal and figurative meaning, everything.
They have to prove the charge. They don't have to prove every statement.
No, they cannot just accuse me of doing something over here.
I agree.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, they have to prove it, and they have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
That's it.
Okay, I think we're all set. Do you have any other questions or issues you want me to address with you, Mr. Mustafa?
No.
All right, we'll send you out front. We'll get you the setting notices for those 2 trials, and we'll see you back on the 14th.
All right, and we are on the, okay, thank you.
Good, thank you very much, John.
All right, we've got a late edition from Zach here as well. I haven't seen it, but I'm guessing there's some Love Boat action here.
We're on the record in the matter of the City of Wyandotte, there's Alexandra White, 24W67254.
Actually sounds pretty good.
All right, and ma'am, your name for the record, please.
Alexandra White.
Okay, and today's date scheduled for the hearing, we actually adjourned this. Dad was to be present. I'm not sure why Dad's on Zoom though. Dad's present, but on Zoom. I don't know why he's on Zoom. And not in person.
I actually have the flu, Your Honor. So that's why I didn't show up. Yeah.
That would be a good reason to appear by Zoom. Sir,
Yeah.
your name for the record, please.
My name is Mike Locker, Your Honor.
All right, can you please spell your first and last names for the record?
Yeah, it's MICHAELLOCHRIE.
Okay. Okay, and, I remember this now because Mom is claiming that Dad has had the child since the beginning of the school year and has not returned the child, and Mom got the citation for truancy. So, We're going to actually both, I have you both swear or raise your right hand. Solemnly swear affirm the testimony about giving this matter to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Lockery, do you have the child, the two of you have a child in common, correct?
Yes.
And what is the name and age of your child?
His name is Jordan Lockery, and he just turned 15 in November.
Okay. I'm sorry, what's the name?
Jordan?
Oh, I thought you said Sam. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so he's 15 years old. And is there a court order by the Third Circuit Court regarding parenting time and custody?
So we do have a court agreement, a
Sir?
court order, Your Honor.
Yes,
that,
yes or no? Yeah, is there an order by the Third Circuit Court regarding custody and parenting time?
Yes, there is. That she has not been obeying. So, yeah.
Sir, please, yes or no, okay?
Yes, there is, Your Honor.
All right. What is the date of that order?
I don't recall off the top, Your Honor. It's gonna have to be about 7 years ago when that was substantiated.
Okay, Ms. White is showing me an order, but this does not appear to be an entered order. It's not signed by a judge. It doesn't have a date that it was entered. And I don't even know what date this was. So the court's not going to take this because it's not even an entered order. I don't know. And sir,
Yes, Your Honor.
you're saying 7 years ago it would have been?
Yeah, Your Honor. I mean, to be honest, at least 7 or 8 years ago. He's 15, so it was probably when he was 7 or 8. That was the last time we were down there getting that. Yeah, so.
So it would have been, hold on, so. Was there an agreement reached by the two of you regarding a modification of parenting time in 2017? Would that sound about right?
Not to my knowledge. I've been trying to get back down there and, get everything figured out and redo the custody order because things have been really bad with my son over there when he was living with her. So, yeah. So I've been trying to do this for a while.
How long has your son been living with you?
How long has he been living with me, like currently?
Yes.
I've had him since last February when she got evicted and there was a domestic violence at the house.
Come on. So you've had your son for a year, and in 1 year, you have not filed the motion to amend custody?
I've been trying to work with her, and we've been trying to figure out some things. I know her life kind of took a turn for the worst, and I was trying to give, a little bit of leniency and do the right thing by my son and raise him and make sure that he was in school. I've been trying to enroll him in a new school. She hasn't cooperated with me, won't give me a copy of his birth certificate. I've already enrolled him into a new school, and it's just been one hassle after another. I've just been trying to be a good father and get him the education that he deserves.
Hold on,
Yeah.
hold on, please, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
You're claiming that Ms. White is not working with you, then why haven't you filed something in the Third Circuit Court so that your child can be in school? How long has he been out of school?
I've been trying to get a copy of his birth certificate.
No, that was not my question. How long has he been out of school?
He has not been in school since last year, due to her negligence, not mine.
No, it's due to both of you. If you take primary custody of your son, sir, you have not taken the appropriate steps to make sure that you are the one to make the decisions, or you're the one to enroll him in school. And so now this child has been out of school for 1 full year.
Your Honor, he's been out of school not due to my negligence, but due to her. He wasn't even going to school when he was residing with her in that district.
Sir, right now he's been residing with you for a year. So it is due to you. It is due to your failure to make sure that you had a court order that said you had the right to register him into school.
No, I didn't have a court order with the right to enter him in school, Your Honor.
You know that, sir. That's why I said your failure to make sure you had one of those, that's on you.
None of that was
It's on both of
highlighted.
you. It's
None
on both of you. It is incredulous.
I'm
that your
trying to get it.
son-
I've been trying to get him in
Excuse me.
school. If I could speak,
Please
Your Honor.
stop. Please stop, sir. It is incredulous that the two of you cannot put whatever differences are aside to register and get your son into school. Ma'am, if your son, you know your son is with his father, and his father has asked you for a copy of the birth certificate, and you have not provided it to him, shame on you.
Can I speak?
Not right now. Shame on you for not getting that to him. Because now, without that, the two of you have now caused your son to be out of school for 1 year. 1 full year. Why haven't you provided a copy of the birth certificate to his father so that he could be registered for school?
I really don't know why she's ragging on him. I'm not saying he's perfect, but he makes a good point. I don't have custody. I can't force the situation. I'm trying to do it now. Am I missing something? He's saying, I think he should be in school. That's why I'm trying to do this. I don't get it. Everything isn't a moral equivalence. Everything isn't everybody's fault. He doesn't have custody. He's now trying to get custody. I guess the fact that he didn't have custody prior, I don't know. Yeah, right. Don't get married. You're right. Everything is your fault if you get married. Absolutely everything.
The problem at Lye was I had sole fiscal custody of him.
No, that wasn't my question.
Okay.
Why did you not provide a copy of the birth certificate to your child's father?
Because my son has been enrolled at Roosevelt. He's a sophomore there, and he was to start at the beginning of September. That's where he's been enrolled in Wyandotte School since first grade.
It appears as though there's been some issues that have occurred, and your son has been staying with his father consistently for a much longer time over the last year than with you. There's been conversation that your
I sure do.
son's father wanted to register your
The hell
son
never ends.
for school in another school district. Why did you not assist in that?
He's been with him since May. I wanted to correct that. And it was due
Either
to,
way.
losing my house. It was due to that.
Okay.
And we did agree on having him for the summer. I was working a lot of hours. But we agreed that as soon as summer was over, beginning of September, to have him back to me, to go to Roosevelt. I believe it was September 5th was the first day they started. And after that, it turned into, well, can I just get his birth certificate? I want him to go out here, but there was no real reason
Of course.
for that. So I said, well, until we can leave.
Of course, the kid will always use the chaos for a bad end because they don't know, because they're kids, right? But yes, that's correct.
We come up or go down to front of the court and change school districts and get him enrolled elsewhere. Until we do that, I told him and my son both, you still have to go to Roosevelt where you are enrolled in.
Ma'am,
That's what our argument was.
So clearly your son wants to stay with dad right now.
That's what he's.
For whatever the
asking.
reasons are. Okay, I'm not getting into all that
Yeah.
because that's a matter for Third Circuit Court.
Mhm.
What's before me is that your child has not been in school this entire year. This entire school year.
Correct.
So he's gonna end up being a sophomore next year too.
I will do everything in my power to, like I said, I've done all of his schooling. It's not.
What do you mean you've done all this schooling?
No, since he was in Head Start, like I've done all his, not his work, but all his schooling, facilitating him.
Okay,
every
then why are
year.
you not facilitating for your son to be in school right now?
His dad and I haven't come up with an agreement. That's really what the issue's been.
So your son
Yes.
now has to bear the consequences of the two of you not being able to come to an agreement. So instead of holding your son's education hostage and his well-being hostage, why aren't you allowing him to attend school somewhere else right now and then work on an agreement?
That's a good point, Your Honor. In my mind, it really was, it felt like retaliation in some sense of, I all of a sudden now, I've never helped you with this schooling. All of a sudden now, I want him to go to school out here. And originally that was the agreement, for him to come back in September and go to Roosevelt.
Okay, and then
so,
clearly there were some circumstances that changed.
Yeah, I lost my house in May in Lincoln Park. And that's when I asked Dad to take it for the summer. But it was in our agreement, not physically in our agreement on paper, but to have him return back out to me to go to school at Roosevelt. I've always been huge on my son's education. I've been the main one behind it. And I will do everything in my power to get him caught up in everything and even pay for summer school. If I have to.
I'm
to
not
make
sure
he
how,
does not fall behind anymore at all. I've never come into this issue before ever.
I don't know how you think that your son is going to make up an entire year of school in summer school. Maybe it happens, I don't know. But sir, was there an agreement that your son was supposed to go back to Wyandotte schools for the fall for this school year?
Your Honor, no. I could, pull the FOIAs. I mean, he's missed almost half a year consecutively that he's been in her care every year at school. And that's where I had to draw the line. She's been evicted 5 times in the past 5 years, 6 years from various places. It was not a good environment for my son.
So, sir, now you're kind of at that same spot. Now he's done with you and he's been out of school for half a year. So
He's been out of school, Your Honor, since September, October, November, December. Yeah, so I mean, it's looking at a little bit into the second semester or second quarter.
a little bit, you're already into February, you're already a month into the second semester.
100%, Your Honor. Your Honor, I just got him enrolled finally. There was documents that I had to basically obtain the hard way because I found out that my name was not physically on the birth certificate. So that created another whole slew of problems, Your Honor, to where I had to do things a lot harder than what I had to get him enrolled in the first place. And I still am going to need a copy of his birth certificate because I only got him enrolled for 30 days. And then I have to provide a copy of that birth certificate to his new school.
Oh, good Lord. Wait till we find out that there's another guy on the birth certificate. That may be the problem here.
And she's not complied.
So let me ask this question. This was filed as a paternity action in 2010. You don't have anything showing that you were deemed to be the father in 2010?
I do, Your Honor. It says I'm 99.9%. I have the paternity results, but that wasn't good enough to, they still need to see a physical copy of the birth certificate to officially keep him enrolled in the new school district.
Okay,
and that was the problem.
So it appears as though you had an attorney back in 2017, Mr. Day. So you may want to contact Mr. Day to find out if there was ever an order of paternity. And I believe after that order of paternity has been established, then I believe that there is an amended birth certificate that's generated from the state of Michigan.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know, Your Honor, like, to be honest with you, I tried contacting Washtenaw County, which was the county that he was born in, and they said I would have to contact Wayne County, and Wayne County said it could take months for me to be able to physically obtain a copy of his birth certificate without her consent.
What I'm telling you is that there was a paternity action that was filed.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that paternity action, it sounds as though that there was a determination that you were deemed to be the father, correct?
Correct, Your Honor. I've been deemed the father, yes.
So from there, typically an amended birth certificate is generated from the state of Michigan. So as a result of that paternity determination. So perhaps you contact the state of Michigan to get that information, or contact your attorney that you had to get a copy of that. Now, in the meantime, where is it that your son is now enrolled at school?
I got him enrolled in Wayne Memorial High School, which is about a block from my house. It's where I went to high school at.
Okay. And so, Ms. White, when's the last time you had any parenting time with your son?
It was this last summer. It was in June. He's been withholding him from seeing it. It's too much to even explain. It's really.
And yet you haven't filed anything in the court either.
I have tried. I ran into some financial hardships. I also lost my transportation at the end of August, when the flooding occurred. On my way to work, I had to junk my car. So that's been a big problem as well.
There are fee waiver requests that you can file, that you can request from the Third Circuit Court
Okay.
and whatnot. You can do filings online. So there is zero excuse. Zero excuse. So,
She is a hot mess.
well, I'm going to adjourn this because I want to make sure that this child is going to stay enrolled in school. So are you going to, go to the school or work with Mr. Lockery to get, all the documentation submitted that needs to be submitted?
Yes, I can, Your Honor.
No, I didn't ask if you could, I was asking if you're going to.
Yes. I will get, his high school records, transferred from Roosevelt.
Your Honor, just to stop her, I don't need any of that. I already got his immunizations, his school records, his transcripts. I've done the whole pre-enrollment. All I need is a physical copy of his birth certificate at this point to keep him enrolled.
Where's the physical copy of his birth certificate?
I have it to my storage. That's where most of my belongings are from when I lost my house last May. So I can get that. If not, I can go make a copy for $20.
Okay, so when are you gonna get that to him?
Tomorrow's Thursday, I could do it tomorrow.
Okay, she's gonna get it to you tomorrow.
Thank you, Your Honor. I really appreciate it.
And then in 3 weeks, we're going to have you return here so we can see the status of all that.
Okay.
No, not 3 weeks. Sir, when does the 30 days end?
So I just got him enrolled. It's probably going to be around, I don't know, we could just say March 6th or March 7th.
Okay, and so what grade is he enrolled in then? As a freshman?
No, a sophomore. He graduated as a freshman. It's just, yeah, he's just missed a partial of the year so far as a sophomore.
So he's been living with you since last February and you were getting him back and forth to school in Wyandotte?
That's why the problem was, because basically my son, who's actually right here right now, if you'd like to speak with him, but he was pretty embarrassed about his attendance.
Sir, why would you have your son right there when we're communicating about this right now? That's not good, sir. That's not cool.
I wasn't sure if you'd like to speak with him or not, Your Honor. He's 15 years old, so.
Yes, I understand that. And clearly he's witnessed most of the discord between the two of you, I would presume.
Not with me. I've kept it 100% legit with him, Your Honor.
Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
you're really quick to pass all the blame to Ms. White and not take any of the blame yourself. Both of you are to blame for your child not being in school.
I agree, Your Honor. I agree, Your Honor.
We'll adjourn this to March 5th at 3 p.m.
Sounds great, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
In person?
Oh, in person.
Sounds great, Your Honor.
All right, have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
Exciting and new.
Thank you, Zach, for that. So we can end on a nice depressing note. That was a lot of fun. Thank y'all for coming out. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all soon.